My name's David Hayton, and I'm the author of Conservative Revolutionary, The Lives of Namier, which was the winner of the prize in 2020. I wrote this biography of Namier over a 10-year stretch as the first major biography of Namier written since his widow wrote a largely ventriloquised biography just after his death, using a lot of sources which other people hadn't had access to. So it was very gratifying to think that people enjoyed the book, and people who I respected enjoyed the book. So I was frankly amazed that I'd won. Recognition that something that I'd spent 10 years on was actually worth doing. I was drawn to historical biography, I suppose, first by getting a job at the History of Parliament when I had just finished my doctorate. And then I fell into writing the Namier book really because of the amounts of material that I was finding and the interest I was finding in Namier. Although he has many faults, and I'm not sure I'd like to have entertained him to dinner or worked for him particularly, I found that there was a lot in Namier that I could admire. Not exactly wanted to rescue, but wanted to preserve before the memories of people who had known him and liked him disappeared, and he was simply cast as the ogre that he sometimes appeared to people who disagreed with him. Good historical biographies, I think, tell you something about the person and about the times in which they lived and set that individual properly in their context. What I think makes a good biography is not simply the life of the individual, but the life of the individual seen in the context of their times and illuminating. But I think it also, of course, has to be based on as much original research as possible. Namier himself was very tough on biographies. He didn't like biographies. He thought most of them dribbled away, he said, their material, and didn't really use the material to understand how politics worked, how society worked. He also felt that there was a tendency to try and find out all the least attractive aspects of a character, and these were debunking biographies, and the biographer would make fun of the subject. But his main point was that biographers tended to paint a portrait of somebody, shall we say, that didn't show anything of the background. It just focused on the individual. And while that is important, it's very important, I think, to understand an individual, it is also important to see how they fit into the broader context. I think it is important that historical biography is given the kind of profile and the kind of importance by this prize that it deserves. Writing a biography is not an easy thing to do. I look back over the previous winners, and I see some very distinguished historians writing some very important biographies. There's a very strong shortlist this year. There was a very strong shortlist over the past few years. I was not displeased to see that in one year somebody shortlisted for the Elizabeth Longford Prize won the Wolfson, but did not win the Elizabeth Longford Prize, which led me to believe that, the shortlist for the Longford Prize was actually stronger than the Wolfson Prize. I think this prize is very important, and I was personally delighted to win it and honoured and surprised to win it.